Hey everyone, Dr. Tracy here, and I wanted to give you more information about the section we are going through, functions. In the functions section, part of the discussion 7, has you go down here in this section 3 and do some Python stuff. So I want to talk more about Python today. I did give you some tutorials that I want you to take a look at. Dictionaries, maps, and Python zip function. That's going to come in handy for this last step down here. So these W3 schools are really good tutorials. They show exactly what a dictionary looks like, and what a zip looks like, and what a map looks like. It lets you try it out. And so you can see that a dictionary is something that associates keys with values. And the examples of the functions that are built into here, you can see the functions use the def keyword and then the name to do something also related to what's going on. And then the zip function here, which is showing how we can join tuples together. And tuples are, of course, lists that can't be modified. So when you compare that to discrete mathematics, tuples are basically the same as sets. And so that's why all of these matter to what we're covering now. Take a look at those 3 tutorials. Then the next thing it says is to go to this Python text on page 135. Okay, so this used to be a textbook. Well, this was a textbook that I wanted to include in this class, except for there was a lot of things I didn't like about it. However, I think this is a good example of using Python. And so I decided to include this since the textbook's free. Yes, let's do it. So if you click on that link, it's going to take you to the textbook. This is one of the reasons why I didn't like using this textbook. It's hard to navigate. You can't just jump to the chapter you want. And so we have to get down to page 135. So you just scroll down till you get there. You do not have to read the rest of this. Just get into where you need to get to. I'm almost there. Now, when you get to 135, there's a very specific section called Case Study 9.3 that I'm asking you to read. And you can see it starts right here, 9.3, a case study, finding given words in a file of text. So your assignment for this part of the discussion is to read through this case study. And what the case study is going to do is create a program that searches a document for some words. And for each of those words, it will display the word and the line number of the document on which the word occurs. So in this case, we're going to have a file named targets that'll contain the words we're going to search for. And the document will be in a file called document. And the suggestions to make the document, make it yourself. Take anything. Take this work, take this book, use your own textbook, use anything, but create a fairly good sized document that can have a number of shares of words. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the targets, strip them out so we just have these single words. And then we're going to go through the document and check to see if those words exist and return the line number on which they exist. The whole program is right here. And so I'm going to open up the program itself. So you can see I didn't do anything to it. This is exactly the program. I have a document here, which is just basically cut and pasted some text from another source. It doesn't matter where you get it from. And let me just walk through the code here so you can see what's happening. So there's a function called, and that's where that def is, just by using you always declare functions before you start doing some Python code. So the def means define words and line numbers given a file name. That's going to be an argument. We have to have a file name in order to run this function. Then it's going to define punctuation as any of those things. And line number will start at 0. And then it will use the open command to open the file name that was provided. Now for each line in the file, it will change the line number +1. So it's automatically going to be giving line numbers. Line 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's going to split each of the words on each line. Then for word in words, that means it's going to go through each word one at a time. That it is going to strip according to punctuation and by line number. So we're going to see each of the word will have a line word and a line number. All right. So then there's a formatted thing that's just going to take this number set and strip them and sort them in the right order. And so that's what we're doing with this one. Okay, so targets is you're going to open a targets file, find those words, and then strip those so you know what they are. And then for lines found on, it's going to take each of the targets and it's going to find those. So for word and line number in that function that was written earlier, we're providing a document called document of all crazy things. And if the word that's in targets, that list of what was getting from the other document, it will if that happens, it will say lines found on, and it will give the word and it will give the line number at the end and format what the results are. So here's the document. We have a lot of text and the targets. The targets right now, I don't have any, but I'm going to go ahead and put in separate computer. Let's see what was on there. Let me try and remember what was distributed. Let's look for distributed. And let's look for something stupid just to see that mouse. There's probably not mouse is not in there. So if I run this is my targets file. And if I run the targets file, I'm going to see the results here. Separate is on line 5. Mouse doesn't exist, so it doesn't have a line number. Distributed is on 4, 6, 10, 14, 23, 28. And this is what that formatting did. It added a comma space in between each of the times it found it. And then computer is mentioned a whole bunch of times. And so if I look at this document and I look at line 5, well, there's that word separate right there. So line 4, here's that word distributed. So that's where it's coming from. This just lined up a little awkwardly because of my, there, that looks a little better. So this was just copied and pasted text. I don't care what your document text is. I just want you to put some text in there and then create a plain targets document that you add your own words to, and it will search that. Now, the whole reason for doing this when we're talking about sets is because I want you to understand how this works. I don't even ask for you to turn in the Python file. I really just, so if you can't make it work, don't stress too hard. What I want you to do is explain to me how it works, kind of in the same way I just explained it to you, but in your own words. And then I want you to explain how that's an example of functions. Why does this work with this chapter? Why am I giving you this assignment? There's a reason. So I want you to kind of think about everything that's in this chapter that we've covered in functions with range and domain and one-on-one, injective, onto, all these things you could apply to this program because it's sort of using a programmatic example of what functions do. And I don't mean just because you create a function, use the DEF keyword. That's not what I mean. Anyway, then the final piece of it, it says rewrite it using the zip function. Again, I am not asking you to submit the file. I'm not looking for the Python file. I don't ask you to turn that in. What I am asking, but you can, that's cool. Send me a link. What I'm asking is, how would it change if you used a zip function? And so here's the Python zip function link. If you reviewed back to this tutorial, the reason why I'm doing this step is because if you truly understand how the program works, you'll be able to see how to write it in a different way. If you have any trouble finishing this last part, because I know it's a little complicated going to another textbook and creating files and all of that, send me an email and I will happily go over it with you. I hope this helps, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.